Well, hidey ho there, happy innovators. How are you all doing today? Are you having a good week? I hope that you're having a good week. Well, like I mentioned in my last podcast, I was talking about doing some album descriptions like I used to do back in the day with Ad Astra 1, 2, and 3 and Clouds. And so that's what you got right here today. I'm going to do a album description of the Pipe Choir debut CD. And, I'm holding it here in my hand, the hard copy of the CD in my hand. And without, spending too much time on the cover art, I'll just mention really quick, it's got the Astra avatar in the front, the original Astra art that I used back in the day when I first got started. It's got the branches that on the front that were eventually used for the Wilderness album and the Ad Astra 3, the continuing with that theme. I don't even know why I chose that. Maybe it was because of the storm that came through, which I talked about in the Ad Astra 3 description. I don't really know. But what can I say about this package? Well, let's see. When you look at the front cover, you see Astra, you see the little branches, little things on the bottom, but there's a tree behind Astra in the night sky. That picture that I use with the tree and the sky, that's actually taken right outside my front door, the house that I used to live in. And what's ironic about that, or interesting about that to me now, is that tree that's on the cover, it's all over the package actually. It's on the front, it's on the back of the booklet, and it's on the back of the CD package. That tree, that big spruce tree, was a tree that I had actually kind of like grown very fond of. Like I took good care of it. It was a really beautiful tree and I loved it. And that tree no longer exists. So it's kind of, when I see the picture, it's a little bit of a tug, I guess, on my heart a little bit, because that was the first freestanding house of my own, like that I lived in. And when we moved out of that house, the people who bought the property cut that tree down right away. So it's kind of cool, I guess, to see the images here. The tree's not there anymore, so it's a permanent record now. It's on my compact disc package. But if you open up the booklet, you'll see the famous photograph of Earth from the moon, and nothing really special, just basic images. It was, like I said, my first attempt at making a CD package, so it came out pretty good. And you can see the compact disc has the full picture of the Earth, and when you pull it out of the CD tray, like sitting behind it in the CD tray is a picture of the moon. So I thought that was kind of like a clever little thing. The sun and moon kind of theme, which actually was revisited over and over again, really, throughout my other albums and things like that, the idea of Earth and Moon. But on the cover for the Last Major Sin, there's the Earth and the Moon kind of theme. So, it's something that I continued with in one way or another. I thought that was pretty good. Like I said, my first try, so it's pretty good. There's the tree on the back, of course, and the Creative Commons stuff, and the track list. And so, without spending too much more time on that, that's the basic rundown of the cover art. Nothing special, nothing amazing or anything, but it was my first try at making a CD package, and I'm, relatively proud of it. I suppose if I had it to do over again, I might change a couple of things, but, it is what it is. So, having wrapped that part of this description up, I'm going to go ahead and get into the music. And I think the very first thing I want to start out with, we have track number 1, Lights Up. I have a demo version of Lights Up that I'm going to share with you before we get into the full song. So without further ado, here we go. The Pipe Choir debut CD, and let's get into the music. Okay, yeah. So right away, it's like this is a 4-track demo of the song Lights Up. Like the original idea. With those, straight drum beat and just kind of figuring out the keyboard lines. Yeah, normally I'd start out with something like this, like these kind of drums, like a basic drum beat, and start making up music to it. But as you'll hear in the finished version, I wind up striking the drums out most of the time and either redoing them completely different or eliminating them all together. So, pretty basic kind of idea, nothing really challenging or anything, but you can kind of hear the foundation of the finished track. And I was kind of like really into the whole idea of recording on my 4-track cassette recorder. So I was like really stoked to be recording at home, So yeah, here we go. The album version of Lights Up, the finished version. Pretty weird robot voice in the beginning. I love using robot voice. It's a device actually called a vocoder, and what it does is it takes the human voice and it mixes it with like a keyboard sound, like a signal. It blends the two together and gets that effect. Yeah, the entirety of this album was recorded on a Korg D1600. Really small little digital recording unit. I had a lot of really great effects on board, and vocoder was one of those effects. And I wound up using it. I still use it all the time. I use it all the time. Oof. What a song. I'm really proud of this one. I was listening a lot at the time I was, writing these songs. I'm pretty sure I was listening a lot to a group called Tiamat. And this idea, this kind of sparse drumming and explosive bombast kind of thing was really something that Tiamat did a lot. I liked it a lot, so I can hear it when I'm listening to this music. The idea with Lights Up was kind of like, in my mind anyway, was like this idea of turning a switch on. When I had left Cleveland and kind of stopped performing live as a drummer, and went into the idea, this whole idea of recording at home, recording myself, writing my own songs and things like that. When I left that scene, I wasn't sure what the future was going to be for me. I wasn't 100% sure that I would be able to continue a musical life. I didn't know, because I was leaving behind not only the band I was in, but the scene and the people and the connections and everything. I was abandoning everything and going off in this other direction entirely. So Lights Up was kind of like, almost like a song of like gratitude. The world began to thaw, like the world was cold, but it began to thaw. The machine was turned on, the lights are up. It's like powering up this old machine, called pipe choir, pulling the tarp off and powering it up for the first time. And that's kind of what it was like. And the music and the lyrics and everything are pointing to that. it's like rejoicing. You can hear it like in my voice. I was so happy to be able to record something that sounded like this. You know, I remember driving around town with this CD of this version of the song in my CD player, like cranked with the windows down, and just so stunned that I was able to come up with something that could sound that good. At least it did to me. It was leaps and bounds from where I had started with my Tascam 4-track. I was in the digital realm now. Oh my gosh, the sound quality and just everything was so much bigger and better. And that's what you get with Lights Up. It was just a real kind of powerful idea, at least to me. That's why I chose to start the album with it. I just imagine this flipping the switch, lights up. This machine is being turned on. So I was really, really excited about Lights Up. It was I think even to this day, one of the better song ideas. The next song up is A Dark Blue Arc, and I think I got a demo version of it coming up right here.
There's a fire in my house, fire in my house. It's coming after me.
Yeah, this demo version was recorded in Cleveland in a studio right before I moved. Yeah, this is recorded in 2002, that demo. So, that shows you how old that song actually was, that song idea. And then, of course, we go into the album version of the song. This keyboard sound. Got a lot of comments about this keyboard sound. It's an interesting song, A Dark Blue Arc, to me. Because basically what was going on was I was recording all of these songs in this really small room. It was probably about maybe 20 by 20, the room that was my studio. And it was in an apartment, okay? So basically, I had to kind of find a time during the day when there was nobody around to be bothered by my drumming in this apartment building. So whenever I drummed, I would have to hurry, and I'd have to map it out and know exactly what I was going to do and hurry up and record it and drum and get it done before anybody could really have a chance to complain, right? Because drums are very loud. I mean, they shake the building you're in, when you're really rocking on them. So what I wound up doing was just kind of in my mind, predetermining a few drum beats that I wanted to play, maybe just one or two bars, a really short bit of drumming, just different beats that came to my mind or that I thought I could start out, a song with. Let's see, I did the drums for Lights Up that way. I did the drums for A Dark Blue Arc that way. 5 Station 5, Metal, Infinite Light, and that's about it. So 5 of the songs on this album were based on these drum beats that I played and I recorded. And what I would do is just take the couple bars of me drumming and I would loop it in my digital recorder, and I would use that as a jumping off point for a song. And that's the drums you're hearing right now. If you listen closely, you pay attention, the drums don't really change. And this song is just one of 5 on this album that are like that, where they started out as just a couple bars of me drumming, and then looping those drums, looping those couple of bars of drumming, and putting music on top of it. So the dynamics of the song, even though it feels like it might change, it's not because of the drums, it's because of the other instrumentation. I think that's interesting, when I listen to it now. And the drums didn't come out so bad. I mean, the idea, I think, originally was to use those drums as like a map, like a jumping off point to write a song idea, but I wound up keeping, pretty much every one of the situations, I wound up keeping the drums in there. I didn't replay them or anything like that. This is a product of just a couple bars of me playing a drum beat and then putting guitars on top of it. And of course, as you heard in that demo, this existed as a song before. So I just took that idea and retrofitted it over this music, and oh my gosh, it sounds pretty good, Still, to this day, these drums, even though they were recorded, before I had any real idea of how to record drums, they wound up coming out pretty good. I think, if I remember correctly, I only used like 2 or 3 microphones to record these drums, and it came out pretty good. It's cool to listen to it now. I don't listen to my songs, especially the really old ones like this. I don't really listen to them very often. And not for any reason, really. I'm always working on the next thing, so it's kind of cool to have the opportunity to go back and listen. I mean, I was really excited about being able to record myself. I was just like a mad scientist, just trying all kinds of ideas, and I was like just having so much fun with being creative and trying to find interesting ideas, and I was just so into it, like 110%, just locked in, So that was a Dark Blue Arc. Track number 3 is 5 Station 5. Yeah, 5 Station 5. Man, this is me drumming on the guitar. I mean, that's what I'm doing. Da 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 against that drum beat, Again, this is one of those drum beats where I played a couple bars of the beat and looped it. And if you listen closely to these drums, like in a Dark Blue Arc, if you listen to this, the drums don't change. They stay exactly the same. It's just a loop of me drumming. There was so much stuff going on in my life when I was writing this song. It was a really, really difficult time emotionally for me. It was maybe like a year or so after I had left Cleveland. I was still like very much kind of like in some ways grieving the loss of the life that I had built for myself up until that point. And, we left home, I left home and started over, and it was difficult. It's hard to do, but you can kind of hear me singing about that and addressing it in this song. It's all, waxing poetically or in code and kind of stuff like that. It's not a direct message, but to me, when I hear it, I know what I'm talking about, and I know how I felt. Again, that percussive kind of guitar playing, like I'm, actually like playing the drums on the guitar with my hands. Everything is very rhythmic, on the guitar. It's one of the riffs I've written, and one of the ones I would consider like a favorite. Yeah. It's so strange to hear these songs now and to be listening to them like for analysis, you know. So much has changed since the song was recorded. Yeah, these over the top poetic lines. Like I just was like, honestly, it was kind of probably something like I didn't really know, or I wasn't sure if anyone would ever hear these songs. I mean, I had hope that people would maybe someday, but everything was done, you know, without any kind of regard for like them being scrutinized by the public ever. You know, it was all just kind of really what I felt, you know, or what I wanted to do, no matter how weird. A great solo. I love those guitar solos that you can hum. You know, they're not like noodling, like they're melodic, and they have something you can hum with your, hum along to. The chaos there on the guitar. Robot voice again, that vocoder in the D1600. For some reason, I don't really know why, but I remember when I was recording this end part with the guitar going, I was thinking Radiohead. I don't know why. They must have a song that does that, but like when I hear it now, that's what comes back to my memory. I was doing something I heard Radiohead do. I don't know what it was, but Station 5, like religious imagery, for those of you who are familiar with the Stations of the Cross and the fifth station, which is symbolic, or the meaning of the fifth station of the cross is assistance, helping the person who needs help. And I needed help. I was really emotionally, I was in a very strange place when I was writing a lot of these songs. There was a lot of sadness and a lot of anger. So that was track number 3, Station 5. This is track number 4, The Wind is Rising. Again, like I was just saying, like a lot of emotions, a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, a lot of, rage. I was upset, I was angry, I was sad, I was homesick, I was all over the place emotionally. I remember the jumping off point in my mind for this song idea was that song by Marilyn Manson called Beautiful People. I love that song. I thought it was done really well. And I liked the beat. I liked the rhythm. So I copped it and put it into this song. But I think that this drum beat was like put together at a time when I knew much more about how to record drums and how I was going to be doing the drums for a pipe choir. So there was a lot of growth that took place. Even though it's track number 4, it probably was one of those songs that was recorded last for this album. Really kind of cool vocal delivery, like a rap song almost. Rhythmic singing. The mix on this song is a little wonky to me. It's a little pillowy or compressed. But it is what it is. I was figuring it all out as I was going along. So not so bad for a guy who has no idea what he's doing, Definitely singing to somebody, or for some people, and I won't name names. I was an angry man when I wrote this. Yeah, but rather than lashing out and becoming violent or something, I put it in words and I put it in music. It's the best way to channel your anger, your emotions,
Hide your eyes when the wind is rising.
Middle 8 section. Can you hear it? Beautiful people. Beautiful people. Can you hear it? But you probably would never have picked that out, right? Unless I said it to you. But that's what the inspiration was. That was the impetus for this song, that drum beat. You hear the click track. I left it in. It's a little hi-hat.
You're sleeping and you're dreaming and you make it, you're dreaming, you do it, you're laughing, you're clapping, you're tapping and you're dancing,
A rhythmic vocal line. Not really singing, it's more like I said, like rapping.
Creating it and I make it, I'm shaping it and I show it, I aim it, I throw it, you want it.
Yeah, that was The Wind Is Rising.
I give it the way I got it, I give it the way you gave it, I gave it, you got it.
Tight ending. Yeah, I was pretty pissed off when I was doing that one. But then I was probably even more pissed off with this next one. Metal, track number 5. Again, the drums. I just played a couple bars, a couple seconds of drumming and took that recording and looped it. And that's the drums. That's what I made this song on top of. So I start with drums. That's usually how I start all my song ideas. Is I'll remember a drum beat, or I'll hear a drum beat that I like, or it'll just come to me, and that's I'll put it together. I'll record it, and I'll have the drums, the tempo, and everything done, and I'll go back on top of all that drumming and put guitars on it, and put keyboards on it, and I'll sing over it. And that's what you're hearing right now. Pretty proud of this song. This song is definitely one of those ideas that would be like a candidate for like a future redo, So I think it's really a great song. The lyrics are great. It sounds ominous, kind of like, to me anyway, like When the Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin. It has that ominous kind of drumming, and if you listen closely, the drums don't change. The music changes. The dynamics of the song changes, but it's not because of the drums. The drums don't get louder or quieter or speed up or slow down. It just stays completely steady throughout the whole song. And it's kind of like, in some ways, maybe like the inspiration for the robot videos, or the robot idea. This mechanical drumming, like where there's no personality. It's really just like a machine, like a martial kind of style of drumming. Nothing fancy, really plain, simple, but slamming, like AC/DC. Again, drumming on the guitar, everything like da-da-da, da-da-da, tight drumming on the guitar strings with my fingers. Robot voice. A lot of reoccurring themes here. But all this stuff was really recorded around the same time. Oh, listen to that. It's beautiful music. Even though it's heavy, really orchestral and melodic and emotional. His anger is kind of like sadness. They're very closely linked. And there was a lot of that when I was writing this. It's the best way to handle it. Like I said earlier, it's the best way to handle your negative emotions is to channel them into art and let them exist and exit your body in some other form. You can set the bricks down. You don't have to carry those emotions around anymore. It really is like that. I was really proud of this song when I did it. I thought that it was the best thing I had ever done. Listen to those drums, recorded in a small little room with 3 microphones. You would never really guess that now. At least I wouldn't, like, listening to this, but that's really how it was. I had no choice, you know? I didn't have money for microphones, like lots of expensive microphones, and I didn't have money to rent a studio space or something. I was broke. I had, like, no money. Yeah, there was metal. Like I said, I was really proud of that one when I did it. Track number 5. Track number 6 is Savior. And I think I have a demo version of that I can share with you right here.
Angels on my shoulders, an angel at my feet. When they lift me, I can hear them.
Yeah, this is the song that started it all for me. My first song that I recorded, I wrote and recorded in its entirety. A little taste of that. This version here is a redo in my studio in that apartment. But it doesn't sound too bad for a lunkhead version, a lunkhead recording. Not bad. The song is there. The idea is represented adequately. The drama in those lyrics, you know. But I was a young kid. I was like maybe, 18, 19, 20 years old when I wrote that song. And, of course, we have the version of it coming up, the album version, but this version that's coming up was also a redo of the version we just heard. So, like a redo of a redo. And I'm not entirely happy with the recording that we're listening to right now. I hear so many things about this recording that I would change. And there's so much that I learned. There's a lot of mistakes being made. And I hear them now. So I would imagine that this song is like another candidate for like a redo. Like someday when I get my studio up to the level where I really need it to be, and I'm not too far away from that right now. Once I get there, this will be probably one of the songs that I redo first. Because it was my first song, and because I can hear in my mind like what it can be, like what it could be. And for like a pop song written by an 18 or 19-year-old guy, actually not too bad. But again, the drama, it kind of makes me laugh a little bit now, because I guess my approach to songwriting has changed a lot, but it's not bad, it's not bad. The vocal harmony in there, not bad. It's so lonely here. You can hear the silence speak. It's so funny. The drama, But it has a nice feeling, doesn't it? This music. It's got like a pretty cool guitar line, It's upbeat and like driving. Not bad. So much U2 in this song, to me, especially with the drumming. As everybody knows already, I'm a pretty big fan of U2. Their influences definitely can be heard on this recording, this songwriting. Oh man, when I released this song, or when I originally recorded it, a long time ago, 1991, I told the story in previous podcasts about the band I was in, I was drumming for. I went into the studio to record a vinyl 7-inch for a record label, and while we were there, I wound up playing that piano song, which I shared in a podcast just not too long ago. And the guy who ran that studio, because of that incident of me playing the piano in his studio, we wound up becoming friends, and he asked me to drum on different stuff for him, and I would go into his studio and he wouldn't charge me. Like, we would just have fun in the studio recording song ideas, and this was one that came out of that. I wrote this song and recorded it in his studio with him, and it got onto commercial radio, and it went crazy. And, whoa, it was just like so wild and so unexpected. Like my first excursion into like songwriting and stuff by myself, I wound up hitting a grand slam home run on the first pitch, and I thought that was how it was going to be forever, but I was wrong. It was an uphill climb, but everybody around me at that time, family members included, were just going like gaga. Like, they couldn't believe that I had made a song like this. I could do that. And I couldn't either, but I was just given the opportunity to go and record what I heard in my head, and that's what came out. That is Savior, song number 6. Song number 7 is Infinite Light. And again, this is another one of those ideas where the drums were just a couple bars of me drumming, and I looped it. Da-dun, da-dun, cha, dun, da-dun, cha, and I used it as a foundation, and I started to put music on top of it, and this is what I got. It's so interesting to hear it now. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement, I can tell you this, just listening to that singing, it's the Beach Boys. Can you hear it? It's the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds. I was listening to the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds like on loop in my car CD player, like for an entire summer. And there was this church property that had been overgrown and it was kind of like neglected. And so my wife and I volunteered to clean out this property and get rid of all the trees and overgrowth and everything. And it took us all summer. And it was a lot of fun and it was great. But that whole summer we were listening to Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. It was like the soundtrack to that summer. And I can hear it in this. It was the summer of 2007. And I released this song on 7/7/07. And can you hear the Beach Boys in there? I laugh at myself. Such a great album, and there's no way that you can listen to the Beach Boys and that album in particular and not take something away from it. And to me, it's apparent in this song. Optimistic lyrics, I like that. robot voice, infinite light, you know. I just use that all the time, that vocoder. The first time I figured out how to use that vocoder, like I realized what I could do and how to do it, I was just stunned that I was able to do it. And this teeny tiny little recorder, this little, you know, tabletop kind of situation. Not some big fancy device or big fancy studio. This is like, you know, like almost a zero budget. This whole album was almost done on a zero budget, really. I had no money. You know, any money that I was making was being spent on, like, you know, surviving. So there wasn't a lot of free cash for equipment. That's always been my problem, you know, is that the only thing that ever stopped me from really doing anything was lack of money. And so it's kind of cool, like as soon as I was able to start making some money and getting new equipment, you know, it was like heaven on earth. Some guys want cars, some guys want jewelry, some guys want fancy clothes. I don't. I want new equipment. That's all I ever want. Infinite light. The light of the world. Lights up. I mean, there's all this singing about light. What am I singing about? I'm singing about the light of the world. The infinite light of the world. It's a Christian reference. Infinite Light is one of those songs, like when I hear it now, I can't believe it's me. I can't believe I was able to come up with something like that. And those keyboards, they sound like bagpipes, you know? It's weird. I use that keyboard sound all the time. I've actually had people criticize me for that, you know, using the same keyboard sounds, but they're my sounds. I mean, I make those sounds. I crafted those sounds, so I use them because I like them. And I'll use them all the time. I use them as often as I want. Yeah, there's Infinite Light. Now, this is Sansis FM coming up right here. And I can tell you a few things about this one, actually, because this song was like my first kind of like excursion into really using samples. You can listen to this. Those old dial-up sounds. Yeah. A lot of people probably don't even realize what that is. Yeah, that weird kind of squelch. Yeah, using up those old AOL dial-up sounds. Or, you know, like the sounds of technology back then, which were fresh, like at the time. But now they're ancient, you know. So long ago now. But I thought that was a clever use of samples. It was my first real chance to like try to do that, to construct a song with samples in it. And this drum beat, I'll tell you what, one day I woke up in the morning and I was like eating breakfast. I like turned the TV on. I'm just sitting there eating breakfast, watching TV, and this video by Usher came on. And I think the song was called Up in the Club. I think that's what it was called. And I heard the drum beat for it while I was eating my breakfast, and I thought, I'm gonna cop that drum beat. Like, that's an awesome drum beat to start out a song with. So I finished my breakfast, turned off the TV, and I went to my studio to start work, and I constructed this drum beat. And then I just started playing music on top of it. Again, drumming with the guitar, going against the drum beat. Because the drums are like, but the guitar is going, so it's against the drum beat. drumming, with my fingers. There's a couple things about this song that, production-wise, I think I could do better now, but I'll probably never redo this song. I'm pretty proud of how this one came out. When I first recorded it and I played it for my wife, she told me she thought it was as good as metal, and I considered metal to be my crowning achievement, at that time. And she thought this was on par with that. Now listen to this. All the sounds and the theme on the guitar. Those guitar solos that you can hum. That's great. I'm proud of this one. There's a lot of work and everything, and it was really exciting to be putting it together and hearing it play back. Like, oh my gosh. When I listen to it now, it's kind of like Infinite Light. It's one of those songs I'm impressed with how creative I was, how excited I was. I remember the feeling. I was so excited about being able to record in my house, not have to pay somebody, and not have to rely on anyone else but myself. Which has its downside too, because there's limits to how much you can know or skill level and stuff like that. But it's definitely a trade worth making. Sansa FM, She Shows Me. It's this idea of like being guided by something invisible. It's not like I'm not singing about my wife, it's somebody that I know. When I say she shows me, I'm singing about this thing outside of me, this invisible spirit, that guides me through my life. And it has. I would say that's true. Ooh, what a cool way to end a song. Yeah, I'm proud of that one. I gotta say, even now, that one stands up. It's a pretty good song. I shot a video for that too, not too long ago. So let's see, what do we have next? On Axis. Oh man, I just got done talking about this song on a previous podcast about a month or two ago. And I'll just listen to the intro. Yeah, real calm. Based on this idea by this band I was drumming in called Slow Bob. They had a song called Sinking, or we had a song called Sinking, and this song Sinking was like a kind of like a jumping off point for me on this idea. I wanted to do something that was like Sinking from this band I was in, but what would I do if I had it to do by myself? Like, what would it sound like? What would I choose? So I constructed this song, and the lyrics came out, and I've talked before about how that song Don't Drink the Water by Dave Matthews Band, influenced the music of this. It's the same chords. They're in a different arrangement and everything, but it's the same chords as Don't Drink the Water by the Dave Matthews Band. Again, these are those drums that were recorded in that tiny little room, But unlike, I'm trying to think. Oh, no. These are the same, yeah. These are drums I just drummed a few bars of, and I looped it and built the music on top. And if you listen to these drums, they stay the same all the way through the song. They never change. The music changes, but the drums don't. The recording sounds good. I'm kind of surprised that I was able to get these drums, these sounds out of that little room with just 3 microphones. It shocks me. I had no idea what I was doing. I guess that's like the point that I should emphasize. It sounds like I'm being braggadocio, or I'm talking about how great I am, but it's really not the case. It's like, you have to understand, when I was recording what you're hearing right now, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have a teacher. I didn't have somebody showing me what to do. I was figuring it out as I went along. And for a guy who's doing that, I mean, listen to this. It's not bad. And another thing I always consider, especially when I'm listening to other people's music, is this idea that, like, I made this up. Like, before this song existed, there was blank tape. There was a 0, and I just made something up, and this is what I made up. And I think that way about whenever I hear anybody else's music or anything that's recorded, or even any kind of art form, really anything like a painting, or before there was a painting, there was a blank canvas, and somebody took paint and they put it on that canvas, and that's what you're looking at. And that's kind of how I see this. It's like, it's kind of cool that can happen. Your imagination, or my imagination, or someone else's imagination can hatch ideas like this. It wasn't like me and a group of my friends, or me and my friend or somebody else. This is what I made up by myself and produced by myself, and I'm proud of that. Even if it's not great, like it's still kind of cool that I was able to do it, and we're hearing it right now. And these lyrics are the quintessential meaning, the essence of pipe choir. Everything, any lyrics or meaning I've ever tried to express through all the songs I've made, and I have like about 250 different songs now out there in the ether floating around. This song is the message of all of them condensed into one song. Turn away from the myth of more. Turn away to a life where your happiness lies. Set down, leave behind all the pain and suffering, Set it down and walk away. Turn away. There's no time for goodbyes. The lyrics. Where did they come from? I can't believe I wrote them. And I'm not bragging. It's like I'm shocked. I am shocked. It's beautiful. I can't believe that can happen. But there's proof right there. On Axis. I just made up those lyrics as I went, but I didn't realize while I was singing it. Now listen to this ending. Oh yeah, tight ending like that. So cool. But I didn't realize while I was writing those lyrics that I was going to like them as much as I do all these years later. Like they didn't stand out to me so much at that time as they do now. Because I've written a lot of songs since then. So that was On Axis. And okay, we got a demo version here of Dream On, the last song on the album. But here's a demo version. Kind of crudely recorded on a 4-track cassette recorder. Doesn't sound bad though for cassette. Outrageous. Oh man. This is an early recording of it. Out your window. That whisper. I was proud of that. Good idea. simple kind of guitar arpeggio repeating over and over again. But again, like the dynamics of the song change with the music. You can kind of hear it more in the finished version that's coming up here. It's like I would play just like a pattern on the guitar, record it, and then just loop it and then sing over it. And I still do that today. Like I still do that idea today, a little bit differently, a little more sophisticated, but I've repeated that idea many, many times. See, it's like this repeating pattern on the guitar. But this song is a good example of using what are called terrace dynamics, which is like you'll start on with one instrument and it's a repeating, melody or something, and instead of making that melody louder or quieter, that instrument louder or quieter, you add things to it as the song goes along, and it gets louder depending on what you add to it. The group The Cure does that kind of idea a lot, and I love that band, and they're a huge influence on me. And like them, I just kind of naturally really went in this idea with terrace dynamics, but they of course do it much better than I do, but it all kind of comes from the same place, from like my interior, inside of me. It's cool. Starts out with a simple guitar, the pianos come in, my voice, the keyboards, it didn't get louder. I just added more things to it. Yeah, that's terrace dynamics. That is the term. The idea being that as it goes, you stack more things on. It goes up and up, a step up, a step up, a step up. And I'll tell you what, if I ever had a hit, I have like 2 or maybe 3 songs that are like, in my world, at my level, I would consider them my hits. If I had a greatest hits album, I would have 3 songs on it. This would be one of them. This song has traveled, man, all over the world. I mean, every country you could think of, and all the different languages, because the lyrics, even though I'm singing in English, they don't matter to the people who hear it for some reason. This song it strikes a chord with people who hear it. And man, as an artist, no matter what level I'm on, that's a good thing when that happens. Thank your lucky stars that you can come up with something that appeals to people like that. And to think, when I first wrote this song, I almost erased it and started over. Like I almost scrapped it, and I just can't believe it. I came so close to never making this a song. And at the last minute, I changed my mind, and now look at it. So glad I didn't make that mistake. It would have been tragic. But you can hear, at least I can hear, I was so excited. I was so, into it, and like just being so creative and just losing myself in the studio for whole days at a time, just spending the whole day, in the studio, tinkering around and messing around with ideas and figuring out how to use the equipment and experimenting. It was really more like a laboratory than it was a studio, and it was just so much fun. It still is. It's just different now, Still have a lot to learn, but I have learned a lot, and I've gotten a lot more equipment and know-how and skill, so it's like a little bit different, but I still do get excited. Maybe not quite as excited as I was then recording this song, but oh yeah, there's this tail coming up on the end of the song. I remember I was so proud of this idea of putting a tail on the end of the song, of just like this cosmic cloud. Like it just goes into this ambient cloud and then it like fades away. Like put like a comet. The song is like the comet, and then this part is like the tail on the comet. That's kind of, I see, yes, samples. There's the Apollo mission guy. 3, lift off. I just lost myself in this. I was so happy with this. I thought this was such a great idea to end a song like this. And I've done it since, with other songs and stuff. Just listen to it. I think I say, oh, there's piano there? Yeah. I think I say, dream on. Yeah. Listen to that piano. Real sparse. Kind of like the Mission UK in The Garden of Delight. The song I did a podcast about. So true. It's all that stuff, all that music I took in over the years growing up and everything, it comes out. It comes from somewhere. This piano came from the Mission UK. Oh yeah. Dream on. That's so cool. Good ideas, just like really fun, cool, good ideas. Like having the time of my life and not having to rely. I guess that's the most important thing about this debut CD, that like it proved to me that I could do this music thing 100%, and I didn't need other people. I didn't need an engineer to record me. I didn't need a guitar player to play the guitar for me. I didn't need somebody to sing for me. I could do this whole deal, this whole rock and roll music thing by myself. And this album, from the beginning to the end, it kind of proved that to me. It's a big deal. There's a lot of work and a lot of man hours that went into these songs, and they weren't all recorded at once. They were recorded over a very long period of time, but that's something actually that I've been thinking about lately a lot, to be honest, is like with these earlier albums, I had so much time to write these songs, and that goes for not just the pipe choir stuff, but for like Ad Astra 1, 2, and 3, and then like Clouds, these albums that I put out, I had a lot of time to write those songs and record them, and then after I've released them, it's like now when I release an album, like, I have to kind of like hurry and make new stuff. It's like I don't have the time like I used to before I was releasing music to the public regularly on the internet, really. I don't have that kind of time anymore, so I have to kind of like hurry. It's a strange kind of pressure, but I'm trying my best to defeat that and to like not be pressured so much into releasing new material that it's like I'm going to keep the quality at a certain level, and however long that takes, that's what I'll do. But yeah, there you go. That's the debut CD from Pipe Choir. Circa, man, I think I recorded it, or I'm sorry, I think I released it in 2014. I believe that's when I started making compact disc packages, and this was the first one I did. So there you go. I hope that you enjoyed it, my happy innovators, and stay tuned for the next one. I'm going to be doing a lot of these. It's a lot of albums that I've neglected. This is just one. So, just the first one, actually. So, my happy innovators, remember, if you want to keep what you've got to give it away. Take it easy. Okay, all you happy innovators that were kind enough and caring enough to stick around to the end of the podcast for some music, I've got a pretty cool idea for you today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a song with you that was originally meant to be on this pipe choir album, but for one reason or another, I decided to omit this song from the track list on this compact disc. The song was called Coming Down, and I did a version of this song for the PC1 Wilderness album, like an acoustic version of this song, but this was the original version of it, and it was originally a pipe choir, like rock and roll song, and so I'm going to share that with you today. I hope that you like it. Again, it's pipe choir, a song called Coming Down, a song that was originally meant to be on my debut. It was recorded at the same time that all these other songs were recorded, but I just kind of decided that the quality of this recording was a little bit questionable. So, without further ado, here we go. Let's check it out. Coming Down by Pipe Choir, circa maybe 2010. I think I recorded this. Check it out.